My gosh. And it's Friday for those of you that are losing track of days. That seems to happen, right? These days, it's kind of crazy. So welcome to our Friday Zoom chat. And we have a couple, oh, Teek made it on, yay! Okay, good. Hi, Teek. Today's Zoom chat, it has a couple special guests, our dear friends from DCPS Arts, who are going to talk a bit about and walk us through Canvas. There are some of us on today who specifically have asked how we can create new educational resource materials and what that could look like and what the best platform could be. So just a little housekeeping reminder. Again, I'm Lissa from DC Collaborative, and Tracy, our Deputy Director, is on as well. She's waving. Everyone, please keep your mics muted unless you're talking. And we are recording this session. So these will all live on the DC Collaborative's response portal on our website. And so you can go back to this session later. We'll also share it out through social media to all the teachers. So if folks are interested in building something through Canvas, what that looks like. And as Lindsay had shared earlier this morning, even DCPS teachers are having challenges themselves in figuring out, oh, what is Canvas? It's not just what I paint on, right? It's something else. So before we get started, Tracy, if you want to just share a little bit about these content-specific conversations that we're going to have moving forward, just so those of us who are on the call know a bit more about what the collaborative is thinking about for these 11 o'clock Zoom chats moving forward, and then we'll get started.
Sure. So yesterday we had a newsletter go out that, and it's also on our website about our daily Zoom chat schedule moving forward. Mondays we'll kick off the week with Mary Lambert from DCPS Arts and David Markey of the Commission, kind of like the State of Arts and Humanities Education Town Hall that we had last week. They'll provide updates from their respective agencies every Monday. Tuesdays is more of an open forum. I like it being open, kind of open office hours for people to talk, or we'll program something that has come up. This Tuesday, Jeff Poulin from Creative Generation is going to talk about his Keep Making Art campaign. The DC Collaborative will, of course, be doing updates before each of these discussions, brief updates. We're excited to turn the mic over to you guys to let you interact and talk more and share your needs. And that's my dog in the background. Her name's Roxanne. Wednesdays will be for teaching artists and practitioners to come on the Zoom chat, talk about challenges in their practice, as well as successes and challenges in delivering distance learning given the new landscape. Thursdays will be, I'm calling them community of practice Zoom chats. Whether you're developing distance learning materials for the first time, or you're talking about future programming, summer camps, out of school time, communities, service organization challenges, this is for you. We'll try to have a specific topic that day too. I've been talking, Alyssa and I have been talking with out of school time folks, and we'll hope to get more specific before Thursday. And then Fridays will be moving forward. We're really happy to have James, Katie, and Lindsay with us today. But moving forward, Fridays will be all about equity and access. Something that has come up on the Zoom chat every time is equity, whether it's distance learning for students with special needs, the access to the internet, that has come up throughout each of these Zoom chats, and that is the DC Collaborative's role, and why our community continues to gather together about addressing equitable access. And just to help segment our communications a little bit better, with everyone, or to encourage partnerships and collaboration. After these Zoom chats, to keep them going, we have listserv signups. There's listservs focused on community partnerships, teaching artists and practitioners, community of practice, so that program development and out of school time. If you're the type of person who likes the daily email reminders that, hey, there's a meeting starting right at 11, continue to join us, you can sign up for that daily reminder. And then we'll have a DC Collaborative daily Zoom chat digest on Fridays that you could just see a recap of the week. We also would really love for you to sign up for a leadership role, even if you are just having challenges and want to have the mic to discuss your challenges for a part of a Zoom chat. Yeah, so we're excited about this. I mean, as excited as we could be given our current situation. But yeah, please, I sent the sign-up form for these Zoom chats, either to take a leadership role to indicate your interest level in participating, and to sign up for an e-list. Their listservs, our software calls them e-lists. You can also suggest other topics in this form. Lissa, do you have anything else to add?
Oops, sorry, I was unmuting. No, I think, thank you, Tracy. Tracy's coordinated this whole schedule and figuring out the best ways for us to most strategically communicate with each other, and most importantly, share our resources as a community. You know, the DC Collaborative, our role, we don't generate the content. That's what you all do. We don't teach the teachers nor the students. That's what you all do. We're not the producers of the programming. That's what you all do. We are the connectors. So we really need and appreciate having peer-led conversations. You know, we know as the connective tissue, it's important for us to, and it was important for us to respond rapidly. And we've done our best to get as much information together as we can for the community. And now as we're going into the next couple weeks of this, it's going to be really important for our community to be leading these conversations and sharing with each other. So thank you in advance for those that will step up and help the community. And we have some awesome volunteers doing just that with today's conversation, our friends from DCPS. Lindsay was actually on a Zoom chat with us just before this Zoom chat. And we were talking about well-being for ourselves as we're going through this process as well. And I think that'll become another community conversation that we'll have. And we can share more about that, but wanted to hand the mic, if you will, over to our friends at DCPS to walk us through what it would look like for us to create new programming that's curricularly connected and supportive for DCPS teachers. So I don't know who wants to, I'm passing the mic to Katie, Lindsay,
Okay.
James.
I will start a little bit first, and James and Lindsay, feel free to jump in if I miss anything. So I'm gonna share my screen. I'm gonna share this Canvas page, and that is basically a platform for teachers usually. And right now we're using this platform for also our parents and also student learners. So right now we have created this page with also other teams, so that contains a lot of other subjects, including math, ELA, arts, PE, and also music. 1 second, I'm gonna share this. All right, here. So I'm happy to share this link with you all after this chat or in the group chat later. So this, I already logged out of my personal account. So everybody should be able to log in with that Canvas account. And once you land in this homepage, you see that there's learners, family, and support. When you click in learners, you see materials basically from elementary school, middle school to high school, and they are broken down in different grades, for example, kindergarten, 6th grade, math and ELA for high school. So it's more specific for high school. So let's say we want to go into a 2nd grade level. And once you're in it, you will see that that's suggestion for pacing. Basically, they're guiding students like how many minutes you should complete the packets. For our specials is flexible, but there's like specific guidelines for each grade. And you can also find the family guidance that you can download here. And for example, if we want to look at social studies, and when you go into 2nd grade 1, you see social studies learning plan. And when you click on it, basically you downloaded a document that is specifically for social study. And there's also digital resources. Those resources are basically just for parents that have extra, additional supplemental access to the internet, and they could actually use those supplementary resources, but it's not needed.
Katie, question for you. Is that
Yes.
where the DC Collaborative Distance Learning Portal is resource
Updated.
located?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so that's where our member programs are listed.
Yes, that's right. James had contacted Nicole, who is responsible for updating the site. She did said that they could update the digital resources for us. So I'm not quite sure whether they have it yet, but we did also send out the DC Collaborative database to our teachers in newsletter and also in our navigation guide and also multiple emails.
Okay, great. Yeah, and also making sure that that gets to the parents. It's going to be very important too.
Right. So here's for the parents. You will find that some just general FAQs, resources, learning space, and digital supports. So let's see, support. And all these documents are supposed to be also be able to have the parents to pick it up at schools. From what we know, that there's not a lot of parents actually making the trip to the schools yet to pick up the actual packets. So hopefully this online platform will be more available so parents don't have to make the trip to school every week. So I do think that this one might not have just music. It's a very general resources. But then the music one do have the music and art one do have the DC Collaborative resources there. And I know that they tried their best to update this website, but I do notice that they are a little bit behind whether they have updated everything yet. So this is a DCPS coronavirus update. And you see that right now school is closing through April 24th. And that's also like news sites, distance learning, letters to family, additional resources for families, etc. James and Lindsay, do you want to jump in and say more about this Canvas site?
Sure. Just to provide context, the DC Collaborative portal is located on both the art and music digital resources. Because this whole site has been built by all the content teams, whatever we manage, we were able to contribute and edit in the time that we were able to submit it for last week. So I think that would be some coordination with maybe Scott's team or other folks and other content teams to get the DC Collaborative to exist in other places. I will also add that the materials that have been developed are under the guise of access, and we know that there is a digital access issue within the district. So we're creating resources to be accessible from all families if they do or do not have access to digital resources. And so some of the lesson plans you'll notice have that template of what a student can do at home without being able to be logging onto a device. I'd also add that the curriculum that's being developed by teachers as well varies from school to school. So there's principal directives to teachers to develop curriculum for their students, and how each teacher is creating their distance learning may vary from what you see on Canvas. So we provided this as a template, or what teachers can use, but I think what you'll find is that many teachers are creating their own to make sure that they're providing that continuation from what they were teaching before the closure happened.
I actually find out the updated digital resources. I'm going to share it with you all one more time. It is right here. So again, if you come to the Canvas page for arts, all grades, the digital resources for arts and music, and when you download it, it should look something like this. And when you open it, you'll see that the DC Art and Humanities Education Collaborative is the first one that we suggested to all our teachers. And there's also a lot of other resources that provide distant teaching for free or for trial right now that we suggest for our teachers. And these are being updated. So for the next 2 waves, we call waves, for the next 2 weeks, we are right now creating week 4 and week 5 distant learning resources. So we will update this. We'll continue to put DC Arts and Humanities Education resources there. And we'll also put some very specific one that align with our curriculum.
Thanks for explaining that, Katie. That's super helpful. So in addition to the overall distance learning database being parked up on top, if you have program that is specific, that's also in our database, but that is specific to some content learning, it'll be listed as well. That's terrific. Thank you. I think if any folks have questions, let's hold them off until Katie, James, and Lindsay and team are done with this initial presentation, because I'm sure you probably do have some questions. And if you want to just raise your hand, or if you have the ability to do the thumbs up reaction, maybe then we can spot you out, and we'll do our best to get everyone's questions in. Is there anything else, Katie, James, Lindsay, you would like to share before we open up to questions?
I don't think so. I don't think we're good.
No? Okay, cool. Okay. Anyone who has a question would like to get up? Okay. Amber, did you have your hand up first? Okay, let's do it. Amber first. Okay, I see you, Teek and Sylvia. Okay.
Hey, everybody. So James and Katie, I have specifically a question about our content that we're delivering to our young people digitally. So we have our team creating like small little weekly activities that they can do in their home. And while we have the ability, obviously, to send like a digital newsletter to the families who typically participate in musicianship programming, would we be able to like CC you on that, or send that to you to maybe get like printable versions that they can also pick up at the school that might include that, or that maybe we can just send along to teachers for them to share? How would we go about doing that specifically?
We can definitely send out to all our teachers to share with the students who they think that it might be applicable for them. I actually just sent out a newsletter yesterday, but I'm happy to do April version. And it might be more often that we'll be communicating with our teachers through, we are holding a town hall meeting actually at 1 p.m. today. So if you have any resources that want me to forward it, you feel free to CC us, and I'll try my best to send it through multiple venues.
Yeah, so to elaborate, right now our team is creating it on a week-to-week basis.
Mm-hmm.
So would you prefer we just send it to you via email and you distribute whenever you're able, sort of thing?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. And if there's like an urgent deadline that you're approaching that you would like us to just send a separate email to our teachers, we're happy to do that too.
Mm-hmm. That's great. Okay. Let's see here. Teek, if you want to, you had a question. And again, everyone, sorry, before you ask the question, just reintroduce yourselves and your affiliation.
Okay, good morning, everyone. I'm Teek Pale, Digital Art and Music at Fillmore Arts Center Elementary Services School. And
Teek, speak up a little closer to the mic.
Oh, I'm sorry. Teek Pale, Digital Arts at Fillmore Arts Center. We're an elementary school Arts Elementary School here in DC. And Lisa knows this already. Lisa knows this already that I developed a distance learning site for us, put materials up. I actually put the collaboratives link on there too. But I think we had our meeting yesterday. We had our Zoom gallery style meeting yesterday. And the main question is the delivery of services is the big deal. So we know that the digital format, it works for those who have that access. I also know that, as has been said, DCPS is printing out materials that parents can pick up. But as you said, few parents are coming to pick those up. My question is there a way that through the collaborative and whatever funds we have, that we can be mailing resources out? Because we had a few parents on our meeting yesterday, and they're teachers and parents, and they have kids, and they're homeschooling right now, and they're reluctant to go anywhere. They're all terrified of losing their kids and all of that. So they said, quite frankly, they're being inundated with links for things to do, and they don't want to go anywhere to pick up materials, right? Yeah. So that's thing one, is what about the good old US mail, and is it a good idea, and can we support that somehow? And the other thing is, I think it helps to have the data on those pickups for hard copy materials too. Hearing you guys say that today, that's okay, now we know that, or at least I know it. We were wondering, how many parents are coming and picking things up. That's my thought right now. I have other thoughts, but I'll let that go for now.
I think that's a great idea. I haven't heard anything from the higher ups about the mailing out resources. I think that is a great idea. I think there are obviously some privacy concerns where it would have to be internal, so it would have to be a DCPS initiative, because we can't share student addresses, etc. But what I will do is I'll follow that up with Mary particularly, and see if that has been in conversations with any of the other directors or the people who are managing some of the distance learning plans. I imagine that hopefully that has been chatted about because of the issue of access, and hopefully that there is a reason why we haven't explored that route yet. But I'll see what they have in mind as well.
I will say that I know some of our art teachers have already mailed things home, and particularly art supplies for some of their students. And so and it's been kind of held on an individual school basis of what their school is able to do. So I would also check in with your admin to see if that is a possibility for your students who are unable to pick up or achieve online access.
Yeah. And I would say, as much as the collaborative would love to have the financial resources, which, maybe this is something we look at working with DCPS and the charters, if this is a path the community would like to take moving forward. Because of privacy, we would not be issuing that. This really would have to come from the schools. But if there is a need that does come up, we can, as collaborative, help identify resources if necessary. And maybe Trace, if you want to share, we have put out our first, I imagine we'll have more, teacher surveys. And we do have some top line responses, not about supplies as much as just in general needs.
Yeah. And in response to Teek's question, when right before I go to the needs assessment, the DC Collaborative used to do like a pretty large printed catalog of all of our Arts and Humanities for Every Student program field trips, and DCPS used to mail them for free to all of their schools for us. But it was within DCPS schools, and it went out through the DCPS warehouse, and I would physically drive them down there. So I don't know, we would need the support of DCPS to do any kind of mailing or anything to parents.
We can do it again. We just don't have the resources in our budget at the moment, but we could look to do that if that becomes what is needed in our new norm, we could look at that moving forward too. Yeah.
Yeah, so Clarissa sent out a distance learning needs assessment to about 700 educators. So anyone who had taken a trip or signed up with us, it also went to every principal at DCPS and the public charter school principals that we have on our contact list. And basically we were ascertaining the subject area they taught, grade levels, what types of resources were most helpful. Maybe I should share my screen because some people are visual. Hold on a second. Yeah, so the whether it's an online printable lesson plan or study guide, filmed activity, interactive professional development, a live classroom lesson, distance learning for students with special needs, and then what content area and disciplines they would like to focus on. And then Clarissa made a pretty neat infographic. It's helpful to be like colorful and visual or sometimes. The live classroom, online live classroom lesson was the most requested resource, as well as resources for special education classrooms. The disciplines that people, of course, from our list, the disciplines that people would like to see most were visual arts, reading, writing, journalism, music and music production. And then the content area that people would like to utilize the most, the arts, which is somewhat expected, and English and literature. The thing that surprised us, well, maybe not surprised us, the online PD instruction was probably a medium or low priority for most people. And I guess teachers, firstly want resources for their students. And we see that even within our field trip program too, that they'll sign up for field trips right away and everything is in really high demand. But when it comes to their own professional development, they're a little bit slower to sign up. We're happy to share these resources so you guys can use it in your curricular planning too for distance learning. So I have the raw data that I can send to you if you want to take a closer look. Just email me or write it in the chat. Claudia. Let me share I can share a Google Doc in here. I'm just going to remove some teachers' email addresses because we didn't say that we would be sharing them with anybody. But I'll do that really quick in the Google Doc, and you can see the raw version of the responses now. Lissa, based on like Clarissa's briefing the other day, am I missing anything else?
No, I think those are the highlights. There's a lot of good data in there, and also we have to we'll make sure if the date of when that came out. I mean, it's all weeks and days are blurring now. It's really only been a 10-day, 14-day period, I guess. But that was the survey that went out, started last week, I think on Friday, and was collected. So needs and ideas may change as it evolves. So just know the timing is the time of when that survey went out is important. But I think it still shows fundamentally what the needs are going to be for us as organizations thinking, or teaching artists thinking about what type of content would be good to provide. Let's see, Sylvia, then Karen.
Hello, everybody. James, Lindsay, and Katie, thank you very much. Good to see your faces. I just wanted to know if in the elementary level, especially in the early learning, if you've had responses, if you've had reactions from teaching artists or from teachers, really, from the schools that are using this content. and I know when Mary presented the other day, she said there is a guideline, but obviously the specials are somewhat free to create even their own content. So some feedback that you received, could you share, please?
Right now, we actually are not sure how many teachers are using the packet and how many teachers are creating their own online resources. We are assuming that a lot of our teachers are taking ownership of their teaching and still continuing in some format of online resources. So we're curious to know how many are actually using the packet, so that 1 p.m. town hall may be a way for us to find out, and we can get back to you after that too.
Thank you. And have you, has anybody reported the reaction of parents, whatever they are doing independently of the content, of how the parents are enjoying taking advantage of it, or how the children are receiving and actually staying with the screen and being interactive enough and productive, or not?
I haven't heard much from parents at all, but as a parent, and Mary is a parent also, we are interacting with it from the parent perspective. So I can talk to you a little bit about for us. My son actually goes to a charter school, and they meet every morning from 9 to 9:30, and it is a very long time for a 4-year-old to sit and stay still and listen. But he really enjoys interacting with his classmates and seeing them, and they say hi for a good 15 minutes and bye for a good 15 minutes before and after the call. And so it is, it's been an interesting process to watch. I've done some of our pre-K stuff with him, and he is engaged and loves it. It's just not been enough. And so we did all that prior to them even starting the plans, because we had that whole week where there was spring break, but we still needed to do things and keep them busy. So I think I would imagine that many parents are also looking for the additional resources, which is why I think having the digital resources for those who do have access is helpful. And I'm not sure in terms of what parents who maybe don't have that access, what they are able to come up with additionally, since there is only just one lesson plan a week. So.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, if I may say one last thing, it would be maybe a good idea to put out a survey for all the schools to deliver to parents, to give back to us so we would know. And I wouldn't say only specials is specific, but definitely having the specials there. Because just like you, for us, sometimes when we don't have access to I guess to a large group in which we can observe. You just said, Lindsay, it's been interesting to see. I'm also curious to see how different groups interact in different ways. But maybe the parents could give us some feedback. I don't know who would be, able to put a quick survey, because time is of the essence, really. And maybe if they could do early next week, the latest, and give us back would be great.
James, I was going to ask if you know of anything happening from our data folks who are maybe tracking any of this. I'm hoping that someone's tracking all of it, but it hasn't necessarily been our go-to. So anybody know?
Maybe that's a question for Thomason again, that whether the community is engaging in some kind of ways, whether I feel like they will be the one who will have access to the families. For us, it's a little bit tricky to get the parents' emails because of privacy and confidential issues. So our ways to do it is do it through teachers. But maybe we can ask Thomason whether any kind of surveys has been sent out.
Yeah, I guess what I meant to say is that from the teacher perspective, what can we give to any survey that is going? So when they send to the parents, make sure that the artists or the specials are represented there to have feedback. Yeah, I understand that you wouldn't have access to that. Thank you.
Yeah, but that's very important. Yeah, we often are the one who got left out in many ways. So we need to remind ourselves to make sure that we are visible to other people, to the community as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Thomason is part of she wasn't able to participate this morning's conversation, but we do have a weekly Friday Zoom chat. Lindsay was on it actually today representing DCPS. That does include Thomason, so Office of Engagement, Jennifer Fuller, I don't think she was able to make it today, someone who works on Cornerstones, and other representatives of DCPS, as well as Kennedy Center, Smithsonian, and DC Public Charter Schools. But if the DCPS arts team can get that message back to Thomason, that would be awesome, and then we can reinforce that in just a follow-up, since she wasn't able to join today's conversation that we had earlier. Yeah.
And one thing that I know that they're working on, and I'm sorry that I don't have a lot of information on that, but it's TV channel that they're gonna play video instructions for different contents multiple times a day. So for some students that they might not have internet access, or maybe like easier to learn via watching the TV, that is something that they are working on it. So hopefully maybe in the next 2 weeks we'll have more information about that and we can share with everybody.
Oh, that's terrific. Another person I forgot to mention that was not on today's call, but will start to join our conversations on Friday mornings of that core group that we can then share out to everyone, is someone from the Office of Cable TV Media Entertainment, who, we're trying to find ways even to get just our resource out through the mayor's channels as well, knowing that it's already going out through DCPS. But having actual content on those networks is really key. They have great programming, but they need to put programming on that's needed now for the community. They can focus on that. That'll be terrific. I know their hands are very full at the moment. Sorry, I just muted myself. Karen? Yeah, just introduce yourself, sorry.
Hi, I'm Karen Brown, a visual artist and teaching artist with a number of different organizations. Good morning, everyone. They're mowing the lawn outside and I closed the windows, but I'll be quick. I hope you can't hear it. To overlap with Sylvia's question, I was texting with a pre-K 4 teacher yesterday, asking her what they do directly with the students now. Is it by phone or by video chat, by internet lessons? And I was just curious, and we addressed this somewhat with Sylvia's question, but I'm just curious what role the teachers are taking in this. Are they actively working with individual students or groups of them? And like Lindsay, I believe it was, you said they meet together at 9 o'clock every morning or 9:30. So I'm just wondering if anyone knows how the teachers are using their time, not to check up on them, but I'm wondering what's working for them. And I know this varies from 4-year-olds, 3-4-year-olds up to high school, but wondered if anyone has spoken to DCPS teachers or charter school teachers.
You have a...
I can respond to that. I know that our teachers are doing private sessions with some students via video, and also in groups via video, and on the phone, all three, actively. They have like some for the music, some of them have regular scheduled sessions with students. And sometimes it's 2. I think mostly one-on-one has been working really well. So one of our teachers had like 12 sessions yesterday with students. So yeah, that's happening.
Our office has provided guidance to principals about what is recommended, especially given what Lindsay mentioned earlier about families who have a bunch on their plate, trying to balance maybe several kids' schedules. But our office has recommended that teachers do asynchronous classrooms where they maybe record a video or record a lesson, send that out to students, and the students will follow up with that activity. and then provide that whatever feedback or whatever the activity is back to the teacher, just so that the families can be flexible and like, okay, we're not doing that all at the same time. They don't have to balance multiple classroom Zoom sessions, etc.
And
Something
that
that
a lot of teachers are still doing, that are doing individual check-ins, and maybe they're weekly or bi-weekly, and each schedule has been kind of different based on the needs of their students.
Right, and yesterday we were talking to Jared, and he shared with us that his principal is asking for evidence of 6 hours of work per day, to send it back to the principal. So some schools are more structured in a sense that they would like to see strong, like, working evidence from the teachers, and some schools, I believe, they are less structured. So it really depends on the principal.
Also, we're trying to figure out how to track the students' activity with, that's a thing. If DCPS has some suggestions there, I may be behind the curve on that, but we're sending out lesson plans. We have weekly lesson plans for our students that are available online, and we're trying to figure out how to track especially the middle school kids.
Thanks. Anyone else have question, follow up?
Yeah, I'm just curious, if I'm a parent and doing a lesson from anyone or specifically DCPS, is there a response that goes back to the school system, so that if I have a math sheet that I'm working on with my child, do I turn it back in somehow? How does it work physically with these lessons? Thanks.
Some teachers are doing digital turn-ins for those who have access, and others have been encouraged to complete the work in their packets, and then the packets will be turned in at some point. They haven't quite figured out what that point is, depending on whether we do go back into schools or not.
And before I give up the mic here, I just want to thank you guys. I cannot imagine what you've gone through to get this done. I mean, I've seen glimpses of what the DC Collaborative has been putting in, lots of extra hours, but I cannot imagine what all of you have gone through to pivot and get this done. And it's happening here and all over the country and probably all over the world. So congratulations and thank you. And for me, all of our questions are out of curiosity, never just checking on what's happening, so thank you.
Thank you, Karen. And I would love to see if you have some videos going of some of your songs. I'm sure our kiddos would love to get involved with that. So
my songs are only in the shower. I'm a visual artist. Thank you.
Yeah, you can.
I'm not singing my songs. My dad was an opera singer, but I didn't get that gene. I'll teach you how to make a book out of a cereal box any day. So I'd love to do that. And
Or you can make books out of songs, Karen.
That's right.
That's
Oh my
true.
gosh.
Thank you, Sylvia. She's my agent.
Speaking of being your agent, Karen, sorry, sidebar, but before I forget, I met someone last night on ZoomChat, one of my husband's former students colleagues. I think you have a soul sister in Seattle I need to introduce you to, because she's already producing some really interesting teaching on Zoom. She's created a little stage, she has a dual camera going, and she does books.
Oh,
So I'll share. I think you two need to meet each other. So I will.
big book arts community in Seattle and Portland. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. I think you are definitely kindred spirits.
Thank you.
So yes, and to echo Karen, DCPS Arts team, you're amazing. What you have to go through. I think we all need to give you a big virtual hug. Yes, and jazz hands, because we love you. You guys, big virtual, good job, Teak. Yeah, I'm holding my computer, otherwise I have one arm going for hugs. But we're here to help everyone out. We're not here to question anything. We're just here to figure out how we can help. And also just be supportive of you too. We talked about this on our conversation. Again, I'll mention that happened before this Zoom chat about our own self-care as a community as well. And it is overwhelming, and just how much, if our kiddos can't spend more than 20 or 30 minutes a session, how is that impacting us and our ability to teach them too, and to get that out? And Lindsay is our art therapy expert, and we're gonna give her some time for self-care too, but hopefully you'll be able to help us figure out how to help each other too in moving forward, because that is such an important piece of our work as well. Anyone else have any questions while we have our awesome DCPS arts team here? Some folks that maybe we don't see your faces, but you might have a question. Feel free to turn off your mic and share. No? Anyone else? Any other thoughts, ideas?
Actually, I'm sorry, I'm talking a lot, but can someone set up a training, sort of a Canvas training for the delivery of lessons? I guess it's what I was talking about before. I know this can be done on Google, but does Canvas have a way to do this? Like Google has Google Classroom, right? By the way, does Canvas support Google? I don't even know the answer to that. Can it sync with it? Okay, gotcha. I see your head shaking. Well, anyway, so what does Canvas have that's like Google Classroom, that supports tracking so that, parents and the students work, so that, we can track what has been done?
You can absolutely make a classroom on Canvas, and I have never used Google Classroom, but Canvas Classroom, I believe, is very similar. And some of the capabilities allow you to submit files or submit videos or texts, so that when you post up an assignment, students can respond in a variety of different capacities, which is arts friendly. And it really depends on the access that your students have. I know from my experience, many of the teachers who are using Canvas classrooms are high school and secondary, middle school and high school classrooms, but I'm sure there's a way to make it a little bit more user-friendly for our elementary kiddos.
And there's also an attendance that you can do in there, so students can kind of like check in and things of that nature too.
Alrighty, well, if there aren't any other questions, oh, that's a good question, Karen. More information about the town hall you all are having at 1. Is that just for DCPS teachers? Not for public?
Not for
I think today we're meeting with just teachers to provide a space for them to share their thoughts and concerns and questions, etc. But I'm certain they'll want more time, face time with our partners as we move into more weekly basis town halls as well.
Oh, sure, of course. Yeah, and we would love to, we could combine one of our Zoom, our ZoomChat audience with the town hall, like make it one mega town hall. That would be great, because I'm sure it will be super informative for all of us, and what a nice way to bring all of the arts and humanities educators together, right? So again, Karen, if folks look at the Zoom, look at the chat, Karen, of course, echoing Karen again, we're thinking of you all. We're here to help, to support each other. Every one of us, every one of you. These are just unusual times for sure. It's an understatement. Yeah, I like the idea of this mega town hall. So maybe that's a nice goal for us to have moving forward. But obviously, we need to be patient and give each other the respective amount of time and space that we need to make all of these things happen. We all want to see things happen so fast and quickly, and we are doing our best to rapidly respond, but we also want to make sure it's done thoughtfully and with time for ourselves, because we're all having to do our work and personal life mashed together in a weird 24/7 space in our homes. So, but I'm really proud of all of you and appreciative of all of you. Please take a look in the chat. Tracy's asking if anyone wants to be on the email list or the listserv to fill out that form. And also check your inboxes if you did not get our email blast that breaks down all of the different types of Zoom chat conversations we're having. We'll be sure to get it to you. Just email Tracy or myself. It's our first names at dccollaborative.org. And thank you all again. And thanks again to our special guests from DCPS. More than just special guests, you're our partners. You're on these calls with us almost every day anyway, one of you, if not all of you. So, but thank you for carving out special time just to talk about Canvas and knowing you're prepping for your big town hall. And best luck with that today. So thank you. Yeah, anyone that can do your reactions, let's give some good love, claps and thumbs. Thanks everybody, jazz hands. Whee. Okay, thanks everyone, be well.